Welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I'm your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And it looks like the plot thickens, okay? This UBI payment / stimulus payment, whatever you want to call it, has reached an $850 billion proportion, and Donald Trump has just finished having a really interesting conference on said subject. And Andrew Yang has even released a statement about this stimulus / potential kind of like pilot program for UBI that even the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, is in support of. It's actually really interesting, and we're going to be analyzing both takes of this. The conference just ended pretty much within 5 minutes at time of this recording. Cody, why don't you take it away and tell us what's going on?
All right, so I guess we'll go to the most breaking news here. Yeah, as you said, this came out just a few minutes ago at the latest press briefing, but the White House is currently eyeing an $850 billion coronavirus stimulus package. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats have prepared their own package that would cost at least $750 billion. Have to, you know what, got to give it to the Senate for competing with their, maybe it's friendly competition in the name of getting the best package put out. Who knows? And I doubt any of these people want their name on the coronavirus bill for the next 1,000 years. Regardless, I want to get to some of the bigger stuff in here. So I'm going to read you guys a few quotes from Mr. Make sure I get his name right. Stephen.
Okay, some people say Mnuchin.
Or is it just Mnuchin?
Some people say Munchin. And it's kind of like Cenk Uygur. Nobody gets it right.
Yeah, well, obviously, I don't pronounce all those consonants the way they're spelled. Anyway, he is the Treasury Secretary of the United States, and he said he's preparing an aid package that is expected to total $850 billion. However, listen to this quote. We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks. Looking through, haven't seen any specific figures on what that number would be, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is the dude who literally signs that check when he's giving it to the people. He's the Treasury Secretary. He's saying that he's
the one that receives your tax checks.
Yeah, but if there's anybody in charge of who can get write a check for, right? And it's interesting to see that the president 100% on board, and they're trying to get in 2 weeks money in people's hands. So that brings us to the next part of this. This is still kind of breaking news. We'll go over a little bit more of it. If you watched a video yesterday or have just kind of been following a little bit what's going on with the kind of post-candidacy of Andrew Yang, he's moved on to his Humanity Forward PAC, or fund, not a PAC, it's a fund. Yeah. Anyway, it's a nonprofit that's
it is a PAC because it's a political action committee, but it's really a fund for candidates. Yeah.
So the idea being here is that it's a way to pilot, test, and basically kind of be a central UBI center to kind of gather for it. Now, the idea of the government giving, that before I go, I just want to read that quote. Did that not sound like Andrew Yang for a second there? When he said, let me get this quote. This sounds like Andrew Yang's word. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now, and I mean now. Andrew's been saying forever. I think the best way to help people is to give them cash. I think money in their pocket. I think handing someone money is the best way to help them. And now we see that's where the American government is.
It's like hydration. The best way to fight any kind of illness is to be hydrated. Yeah. And cash is economic hydration.
Oh, of course.
All things get better when you're hydrated. There's not a disease that isn't prevented or fought off faster when you're hydrated. And money is economic hydration.
Of course. So next I want to get to Andrew Yang. He tweeted out that is a statement. We'll get to the statement, but I also like what he says here. It says that my team has been in touch with the White House and we are offering resources because obviously this is Andrew Yang's thing has now became the thing. Oh, sorry. Let me resize that. And we'll go through his statement on this as well, because like I said, it's basically his plan is now being adopted by the government in the short term. But the idea is, but not his plan. I want to walk that back because this isn't universal basic income.
Yeah.
A
short-term stimulus is not the same as a long-term
don't take it as a victory.
Program.
This isn't the UBI victory, but the idea of piloting the federal government giving people money, that is happening. So here's a statement from Andrew Yang. He says, I'm pleased to see the White House adopt our vision of putting money directly into the hands of hardworking Americans. It's unfortunate to see this development take place under the current circumstances. Heard that. But this is exactly what universal basic income is designed to do. Offer a way to ensure that Americans can make ends meet when they need it most. He is probably kicking himself that he didn't mention pandemic in every one of his stump speeches for UBI.
Seriously.
Anyway, I look forward to monitoring the developments of the White House as they consider methods of distribution. And both me and my team are eager to offer our supports to ensure this process runs as smoothly as possible. My hope is that these checks extend beyond this period of dire need in order to prepare us for any future crises and the continued transformation of our economy and our society, signed Andrew Yang. So we're still, again, waiting to get a little more solid info on all the details. But as far as I'm concerned, the federal government of the United States, the executive branch, just said we are checks in the mail. Like we are sending checks within the next 2 weeks to Americans. They're asking for, I think it was again $850 billion. Now I will say I'm no stock or financial whiz, so I could be just an idiot on this one, but it was curious how they were able to. I guess it was the Fed too, but the Fed rustled up $1.5 trillion to inject into the stock market. I mean, I think they did it in increments of $500 million.
Yeah.
But they $500 billion. They found that quick, man. They found that quick. Maybe in a few weeks we can get you guys your $850 billion. They found the 1.5. Like, boom, got it. It's here for the market.
They found literally the equivalent of the national debt. Yeah. Okay, they found the national debt in money somewhere.
It's ready.
You know, I bet you right now all those dark ops organizations that, you know, buy the $500 billion drones that can secretly like microwave your brain from space.
Out a bunch of loans from the Fed.
You know, I bet you all right now they're like, dang coronavirus, we don't get our toys for 6 months.
I don't know if the NSA has their own little private funds. Can the NSA, and I have no idea how this works in the intricacies of it, could a individual government organization take out an independent loan from the Fed? I guess, why would the Fed be issuing loans at 0%?
Yeah.
Just because the interest rate's zero as well. So, like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Also, I guess that's the issue when you're talking about kind of like market money that isn't. This $850 billion is intended to be spent immediately.
Yeah.
When you inject $500 billion into the market, it's like that's not to be withdrawn and spent on cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
The idea is it stays in there and helps.
Yeah.
But still, so I wanted to make sure we talked about that, and I wanted to get into some I think there was one more quote. Here we go. And then just to get back to what Trump again. I mean, it's pretty crazy, guys. I know I've kind of covered this already, but just repeating it again. This is a quote from Donald Trump. We want to do something that gets money to them as quickly as possible. Money, them being us, the citizens.
Yeah.
Kind of weird to refer to him as them.
Yeah.
A little weird on that. I guess he's the president.
If there's any proof that the elites of this country literally view themselves as a ruling class over the paupers, the fact that he just called the U.S. population them.
Unless he's referring to the organizations that would distribute it, maybe. I don't know. It's an out of context quote. Anyway. He could be referring to whoever would do the distribution of it. But,
yeah.
Still, they go through. And then speaking on the Senate floor, Tuesday morning, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said that Congress needs to provide more direct assistance to workers and family and enact further strong steps to secure economic foundation, especially small businesses. He also said that Congress must help support medical professionals on the front lines. McConnell said that the Senate won't leave Washington until they pass additional aid packages. It's my intention that the Senate will not adjourn until we have passed significant and bold new steps above and beyond what the House has passed to help our strong nation and strong underlying economy weather this storm. Now, what could be interesting here is, remember that yesterday the tweet that Nancy Pelosi is now to the right of Tom Cotton?
Yeah.
If people end up to the right of Mitch McConnell on his giving aid to families in need plan, like people in the Senate are going to have to take a deep look if they're like, am I really going to be against Mitch McConnell's send money to families plan? Even if it is like, I think we might get to that tipping point now where we're seeing because how ironic is this too? Mitch McConnell won't leave the Senate until they pass a bill. And that's normally Mitch McConnell's super interested in legislation, not judges, not confirming them. No, he's interested in legislation. So it's funny how we're starting to see a little bit of the partisanness fade.
I give credit to Mitch McConnell. I'm not some huge fan of him. You know what I'm saying? His personality is kind of dry and boring to me.
Well, Andy kind of does his own thing.
I do have to say, he's kind of been a rock star in the sense that he told, he gets lampooned all the time as not caring about people and not this and that. But he literally said, Senate's not going home until we get a bill passed.
Well, yeah.
And F you guys if you can't get your crap together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he basically put his big boy pants on and acted like dad of the family.
But it's funny. It's just funny coming from him because in the past he had been somebody that was totally content with just ignoring legislation and doing his other work that he was interested in.
Well, because he was the one that had slammed he'd slammed the Democratic House bill for basically being a big fat pork belly under the guise of coronavirus. They were putting in Planned Parenthood spending and all this other crap. He slammed it down.
His tenure. during his tenure,
I
his
see what you're
focus has
saying.
primarily been on confirming judges for the Republicans.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't cared too much about that being
Well,
said,
because he can't get much else
he's
done.
getting a lot of weird stuff from the House because it's been a nonsense partisan battle. I get that.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see. My larger point is Mitch McConnell insisting he won't leave until legislation's
Yeah.
passed. That's how I can think we can tell that the partisanship is starting to erode a little bit. We're seeing somebody who, for the most part, seems to have just been like, look, man, I got my own little project over here I'm working on. You guys can do what you want. Is now saying, until we're sending money directly to Americans, I'm not leaving the House. I'm not leaving Washington. I mean, it again kind of shows the, I don't want to say direness, but it shows the way the government's thinking. But I mean,
And there's a lot of Democratic donors that are not liking this. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Democrat establishment that's super corporatist, okay, how they fight against this. And it's a weird world because I grew up in a world where the stereotype was that Republicans are the corporatists and they're the rich ones trying to defend their money bags. But right now, what's so interesting is it's the Democrat donors that are the rich ones trying to defend their money bags. You've got Nancy Pelosi fighting against measures that like Tom Cotton's like all in money to the people. Mitt Romney, the owner of Bain Capital, the organization that would go in and part out to the highest bidder, vulnerable and suffering companies. Apparently he's got a bigger heart. You know what I'm saying?
Or, well, at least it's just a bigger interest in the economy, right? Like that's the other thing too is
Well,
how much
sure,
of it
but-
is like, cause, and look,
No,
I
he's
have,
got a good heart.
I have no problem if those interests intersect. If what's good for the economy is good for the people and they're just acting in the best interest of the economy and that happens to be the best interest of the people, whatever, man. Could be worse, right? They could be acting against our interests. Like, it could be way worse. But to get to I was trying to say
Once again, salvation comes from the
for a
Republican
moment.
Party. No.
For a moment, I thought the partisanship was ending, but it's not. We're seeing here, and this might be the article I'm reading, but it does appear that the Senate Democrats are proposing a competing bill with Chuck Schumer saying our bill is better. Again, if it's in the name of legitimately creating the best bill for the human people or the American people, whatever one you want to pick, that's one thing. But I'm not going to lie. Every single time I see these press conferences, these people know when they sign a bill and it gets passed, if that bill is important, their name's on that thing forever. And they want their bill passed because their names, they
want to be able to say in
they're
campaign videos, I'm the one who signed the bill to bail out the U.S. economy during coronavirus.
Not only that, these people, and not all of them, but it's kind of one of those things. You can't be Kobe Bryant if you're not kind of like an egotistical crazy person. It's hard to be a senator for 20 years if you're not an egotistical crazy person. And these people are like, for thousands of years, my name will, like, you think these people don't look at the Declaration of Independence and go, wow, we still talk about these dudes how many hundred years later? You think people don't think about that stuff? So there's always this sense of, during the impeachment thing, remember when Nancy Pelosi had special monogram pens made for everybody who signed the impeachment bill?
Yeah.
Dude, these people think and it's part of it. Like I said, it's part of how you get there. You get there by being this kind of personality. My point being, though, I don't want to get too verbose. I hope that isn't the competition we're seeing here, and we're seeing more of a friendly competition of, hey, let's just pull everything together. We'll come up with our best plan. You come up with your best plan. We'll bring them together. We got to help people. I hope it's how do we help people better and not how do I win this fight. But unfortunately, the other qualification for being a senator is that you're functionally a child. You have the emotion, you have the emotional intelligence of a 12-year-old your entire life. I don't know, but it's just it's fascinating to see the United States government move to propose. And again, I mean, the quote we're seeing here is, we are looking to send checks to Americans.
Can you pull up the New York Times
immediately.
article, though? Because I really did like, this is the last thing we'll talk about before we
got
go.
that. I'll pull it up right.
The New York Times article where Donald Trump explained what the program was going to be like. And he basically said, we're going big. It was so epic.
We want to have a big infusion as opposed to going through little meetings every couple of days. We're going big, and that's the way it'll be. So
Yeah, we're going big, and that's the way it'll be. That is
and he
awesome.
called-
Couldn't you just envision him with his hands because he always puts his hands out to the side a little bit. He's like, we're going big, and that's the way it's going to be. That is awesome.
You know what I have noticed during all this? I've definitely noticed why he appointed Mike Pence to be the lead.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump is not good at comforting people.
Yeah, I know. I think it was a great
Because
call.
he's always got these like like those weird pauses and like stammers and kind of like hangups he has that normally you ignore when he's trying to like be serious and like very direct. Like we are,
And to be honest with you, I think
we're
he's
working
been
on this. Good. We're working good on it. You shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be. I'm scared. I don't want to see that. Not scared. Don't want to see it. Don't hoard that. But it's like that's not. Mike Pence is like a politician. He can go up there and. My fellow Americans, it's very important in these times that and it's like, okay, he talks like he's a professional speaker.
Well, and he's got that kind of pastoral voice that comes from his lifelong hyper Christianity.
Professional speaker. I'm saying you can see the difference between a professional speaker going up there cleanly, confidently delivering lines, and Trump going up there kind of just, and it's like, wow. I mean, anyway, that's a tangent, but I mean, just massive news. Andrew Yang has been, and I also wanted to cover this because Andrew Yang has been, he's been banging this drum for a while. That look, I know it's not UBI, but look, we have to get money into people's hands. We have to do it. We can't wait until that would have been a good idea. We need to strike while it still is.
Yeah. So anyway, you got anything else you want to say?
One last thing.
I want
to address the last part of this tweet again. I just want to talk about. I wonder in what capacity is because this is I mean, how funny is this one? Not funny. Again, I don't like using the word because it's a very serious thing. How ironic, though, is it that Andrew Yang campaigned on this thing forever? People laughed at him. To this day, I bring him, the $1,000 a month guy, what a clown. And now, potentially, we haven't heard it confirmed.
It might be a Republican bill signed by the president.
But we might see him working in administration in the peripheries, kind of like how he did with Obama, right? Like he was a member of, he wasn't a member of the staff, but he worked.
Yeah.
He did something with them. We might see something like Andrew Yang might be in the White House in the next few months, I guess what I'm saying. Not as president and not necessarily in an official cabinet position, but it's crazy to see how his. And again, I do, and the only reason why I bring this up so much, I just don't want people to don't accept a one-time cash payment as any kind of compromise for a UBI. It's a different thing. Yeah. However, proving that sending checks to people helps is the first start.
Yeah.
And if this is where we're going to start, if Andrew Yang and which I guarantee you he is working overtime behind the scenes too, because one, the part of there's kind of a command chain there. How do you actually get money? It sounds funny. How do you get money to people? You write them a check. Like, does somebody sit there and do you have a machine just print out thousands of checks? Do they just get mailed?
And also, the soundbite is really good. If we can prove that putting $1,000 a month for whatever short period of time into the hands of all the adults in America solves even just a short-term crisis, who's not to say that the long-term version of that would not solve long-term crises that have festered and boiled in society for 50 years.
Right? Especially I think one of the big things in this moment particular, but in general, the psychological component of there's people that are freaking out about a million things because they should be. It's like, wow, I know a bunch of people that got laid off, and there's people that got laid off a lot of people got laid off basically immediately, and it's like awful. And there's no real there is. I'm not saying it's good, but like everything, the part of being in a kind of free market capitalist state is the market evolves. Jeff Bezos announced 100,000 new hires are coming, so I don't think that makes up for the layoffs, and not everyone wants to work at an Amazon warehouse. Not what I'm saying, but my larger point is that we definitely see how this kind of ripples through and affects the economy in different ways, and just the mental. We might see a little bit of the kind of national anxiety and hysteria settle if a lot of people who didn't know where their next check was coming from now do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of people who are very uncertain about a million things, uncertain about, is this disease bad? Am I going to get it? Am I going to get sick? Is my family going to get sick? What's going to happen? Are they going to quarantine? So they're going to lock us down? How am I going to get a check? It's weird how when that last question's answered, those other questions become something you can confront easier. You know what I mean?
That's a really keen observation, Cody.
So I think that could be
right.
I think that kind of general mental alleviation off people could be one of those side effects that
it's like economic hydration. The other stresses just go away.
And until you've shown it, it is kind of hard to explain, because it is kind of like you can't prove it will work until you've given people money and it works. You know what I mean? Until it's actually happened, you can just kind of say, I think it'll work, but I don't know. I could just. Speaking from my own sense, it's crazy how it's crazy how much easier other things are to confront when where's my money coming from is a question that you have answered. So I just think it's really interesting. Not interesting, but it's great to see Andrew Yang. Also, I know I'm going long, but I like to see Andrew Yang. I like seeing how he's kind of apparently really grabbed the reins on this. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a politician. He's an entrepreneur. He's that kind of guy. But still, he could have sat by and maybe they'll reach out to me. I don't know. But I really hope to see he is jumping full into this, reaching out to everyone and saying, hey, look, this is my thing. I know people who do this stuff. I understand it. I know what I'm talking about here. Let me help. I'm really glad to see that. I mean, it's the kind of guy he is. It's kind of, I would expect nothing less from him, but I'm glad to see him. I'm glad to see that is the reality of it, where he's saying, I would like to see, I know people like this, I would like to see him get on Joe Biden a little bit more. Yeah. I do think I have seen Joe Biden, though, in the last couple of days, a couple sound bites where he's like, no, I'd be open to economic options to help people by sending direct cash pay. I mean, I think he's came around to it. Everyone is now. I guess when Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney when Donald Trump are coming around to sending people money, it's kind of hard to be like, well, now I'm against it. It's
and also my last statement is, this is a huge, massive pro 2020 commercial for Donald Trump, in which his opponents, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, have slid into the obscurity of absolute nothingness.
Well, it's the key campaign.
I know, I get it, but it's just like, the impacts of this are just going to be brutally against the campaigns of these candidates right now. So anyway, let us know what you guys think of the comments below. Join the channel. It's an inexpensive way of keeping us corporate sponsorship free. Follow us on PSP Radio 1, on Facebook at Problem Solver Politics, and on Instagram at Problem Solver Politics. And also, if you guys want to pick up a hat, there's a couple left. If you go to problemsolverpolitics.com, this is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.